Hi again, everybody. We are talking in our unit on geometry today about angles. We are going to be able to name, measure, and draw the angles by the end of today, and it's important that you become more and more accurate with this because your accuracy does get counted on your tests and quizzes. You will be asked to draw them. So first of all, we're going to go through what is an angle. We talked on the last assignment about how it's formed, how there are rays and segments and lines. Now we are going to kind of connect those, and so when two rays meet at the same endpoint, that's when you have an angle. I put or segments because we use angles when we talk about like a door and the angles that it opens up at, or the corners of a wall, things like that. Even intersections of cars, what angle is that? So the vertex is the technical term for where those two endpoints meet. Those same endpoints we referred to up here would be the vertex. So I drew a little itty bitty baby one, A, B, C, and the vertex would be B. That's where those two rays would meet. And this guy needs a little arrow. He didn't get that one. So we can name an angle in three different ways. All of them are correct. So the first one is you can just simply name it by the vertex. You can't just write B, you have to write the symbol angle. So you're talking about angle B or vertex B. This is this angle. You can use the points and the vertex, so you could do angle, that symbol, ABC, or you can reverse it, CBA. The only thing you cannot do is have any other letter except for B in the middle if you're using all of them, because BCA does not describe this angle. We would have to connect that for that to happen. So it's important that you look at how the angle is arranged and don't just put them in ABC order, because sometimes they're out to trick you on that. So I'm going to have you try this really quickly. I'm going to keep talking, but if you want to pause me now and name this angle in three different ways. Okay, so the easy one is, the first way I'm going to do it is angle H, right there. And then I am going to name the second way as angle GHJ. And then the third way I'm going to name this is JHG. I know this is going to seem really picky, but if you do not have this little symbol right here before each and every one, it will be incorrect on a quiz or a test or an assignment even. You have to use the common geometric labeling in order to get those correct. It's important. So angles are measured in units called degrees, and we measure these degrees using a tool called a protractor. And we'll do some more with this in just a moment. But I also wanted to remind you of the three kinds of angles. This is not in your book, but it's going to be important when you use a protractor. So acute angle is less than 90 degrees. So I'm going to go through the last one first. A 90-degree angle is a square corner, and it's usually noted like that. So if you're less than that, then it's closing down. It's like the door is shutting, and a lot of people remember it as a cute little angle. It's tiny, like a little kid. It's acute, so it's less than 90 degrees. Obtuse is an angle that's greater than 90 degrees, so this would go back like this. So any angle kind of like this. And it could even be laying almost flat or flat. That's obtuse. So we are going to work on using a protractor. This is found on page 461 in your book. And we're going to work on drawing angles and measuring them correctly. There are some common issues that students in my classes have had trouble with before. So I'm going to grab the book example, and we are going to go through right here. And I apologize for the fuzziness of this, but you're welcome to take a look in your own book. I'll try just not zoning in on the numbers quite as well. Well, if you look at this angle right here, you can see that it is greater than 90 degrees. It is obtuse. So they're giving us some choices here. Is it 58 degrees, 62 degrees? Is it 118 or 122? Now, the reason that they are using these, like, why would you think it's 62 degrees? If you look at the top number on this, it is a 60, and so you might be able to read that incorrectly as 60 degrees, but if you look at the bottom, it's closer to 120. So if you right away see that it's obtuse, you can already knock out A and B. It is obtuse. It cannot be either of these, but 118 and 122 are pretty darn close, so we need to figure out which one it is. If I look at this, and if you have your book out and you can see it because it's not showing up well, I apologize for that. Right here is 180, 170, 160, 150, 40, 30, 20. So this, it's going up when you go this way. So this is a couple clicks above the 120. 118 would be between 110 and 120. So I can see right away that it is D122. Okay, so make sure that you're using your reasoning abilities before you go ahead and do your answers, because it will look like it's a certain thing on the protractor. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get out an actual protractor, and we're going to work a little bit with that. I think this is showing up a bit better. And when you measure an angle, the thing that you need to make sure of is that you're lining up the vertex in that little hole right there. Okay, so when you do that, there's also a little line, hopefully you can see that, right here, that you need to get that line on top of or underneath of to make sure, because it will change the angle. And then you're going to go out to see that angle from that point on. So let me say we are going to draw an angle that is 70 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on my paper, hold it very, very firmly, and you go from right here in the middle, and I said 70 degrees. I'm going to draw a little dot on the 70, and then because I want it to go out straight, this does require a lot of paper if you're using one of these bigger protractors. I'm going to draw my third point right there. Okay, this is my vertex, remember? So now I'm simply going to connect the dots. And if they told us to label this A, B, C, that's what we do. Okay. There we go. So if this is my A, B, C, I would say the angle B is equal to 70 degrees. Okay, I'm going to flip it over my paper and let's draw an angle quickly. It is more helpful if you draw an angle that you remember. Never, I repeat, never put your dot down below. Always put it right here. So no matter what you do when you start, put your dot in the middle and then put your dot at the 0. What happens is if you go down here, you're going to be off because the numbers start measuring from right here. So you're adding more degrees when you put that dot up here. Let's do an angle with the measure of 140. So I've already got these two dots made, and I see a 140 right here, but because it's less than 90, that would actually be the angle measure 40, not 140. 140 would be on the inner part up here. You constantly with a protractor need to think acute or obtuse, and this one is obtuse because it's greater than 90 degrees. The reason that they're on this side of the paper too is, and I'll quickly connect these three. I'm drawing with a pencil, so I'm sorry if it's not as easy to see, is if you want to reverse the direction of the angle, you want the angle to hit, to face the other direction. So one kid needed me to actually show this to him. So if we wanted the angle to go the other direction, we would simply start here, here, and then we would find the 140 on, oh, and I wiggled it just a tad bit, 140 over here. And you can, it doesn't matter whether you go here or here, it will measure the same. And then we connect the dots. It is super important that you realize it is more important to kill a tree and get your angles correct than to learn to draw these incorrectly or measure these incorrectly. So the other thing that we need to talk about is when you're measuring these, you always, it never, ever, ever go like this, where the line is at the bottom. You do the same thing as when you draw them. You put your dot in the middle there, you line up this little line right here, and you go to the line that it is talking about. And I, with my eyes and no glasses right now, I'm trying to make sure this is, and it ends up exactly, I did a great job with this one, it exactly measures 140 degrees. Okay, I'm going to flash something up really quickly so that you can see what you are going to be dealing with. In your book, there's a little diagram on page 462, and they have all of these angles. This is a 180 degree angle. It's a flat line. So when I say I did a 180, usually it means I turn around. They're going to ask you which angle on here looks like it's about 15 degrees. Well, if you have a good sense of less than and greater than 90, right now, one of the questions could be, in A is, what is the 90 degree angle? Well, that's ABC. So I know anything greater than that is going to be obtuse or bigger than 90, and anything less. So the 15 degree angle would be CDE. And you can't just say angle D, because that could be any one of the angles here. So you would label it angle CDF, sorry, eyes. The 90 degree angle would be CDA or ADC, and the 135 degree angle, well, there's really one choice here, and if you want to look on a protractor, 135 would hit about right here. Boom, boom, boom. Well, that looks an awful lot like this one. You could get out a protractor and actually measure it, but if they want you to estimate, it's really easy, especially to tell the 15 versus the 90 degree angle. Some kids want to measure this angle just to make sure, or this angle, which is much bigger than 135 if you look at your protractor. Okay, so that's how you use a protractor. It's just important that you use that little tiny dot. Use these guidelines right here. Draw your dot right out here. That's your 0 mark as you're going up. And notice how small just a simple little degree is on the sides. And use these numbers depending on whether you're acute or obtuse. That's how you determine whether you're using the inner or the outer numbers. Have fun with your assignment today. It's fun to draw, I think. So that's why I like our geometry unit.